Tomorrow, I'll watch my sister marry into the family that destroyed ours, and they have no idea who I really am. My name is Marcus Chen. I'm 34 years old, and I'm about to reveal a secret that will shatter everything the Blackwood family believes about power, success, and worth. 20 years ago, Victoria Blackwood, the woman who will become my sister's mother-in-law tomorrow, destroyed my family's restaurant empire and left us with nothing. She thought she buried us forever. She was wrong. The letter arrived on a Tuesday morning, delivered by a courier who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Mr. Chen, this is for you. Requires signature. Inside was an invitation printed on paper so expensive it felt like silk. The honor of your presence is requested at the wedding of Elena Chen and Jonathan Blackwood. My hands shook as I read it. Elena, my baby sister, the girl I'd raised from age 12 when our parents died, was marrying into the Blackwood family. The same family that had systematically destroyed every restaurant my father owned, driving him to bankruptcy and an early grave. The irony was almost poetic. Victoria Blackwood, the real estate mogul who crushed our family's dreams, was about to become my sister's mother-in-law, and she had no idea that the nobody brother Elena occasionally mentioned was the same Marcus Chen who now controlled the largest hospitality investment fund on the East Coast. The same fund that owned the mortgage on every single Blackwood property. It started 20 years ago when I was 14 and Elena was 8. Our parents, David and Lynn Chen, owned 7 authentic Chinese restaurants across the city. They'd built their empire from nothing. Dad washing dishes at night while Mom served tables, both of them dreaming of something bigger. By the time I was in high school, Shun's Golden Dragon was the most successful Asian restaurant chain in the state. We had money, respect, a future that seemed limitless. Then, Victoria Blackwood decided she wanted our locations. She started small. Health inspectors showing up daily. Fire department routine checks that somehow always found violations. City permits mysteriously delayed or denied. One by one, our restaurants faced impossible fines, forced closures, legal battles we couldn't afford. Dad fought back, but Victoria had connections we couldn't match. Judges who owed her favors, city councilmen on her payroll, inspectors who found problems that didn't exist. Within 2 years, we lost everything. The restaurants, our house, our savings. Dad's health collapsed under the stress. Mom worked 3 jobs just to keep us fed. I remember the night Dad died, a heart attack at 52, brought on by the crushing weight of losing everything he'd built. His last words to me were, "Take care of Elena. Don't let them break her spirit like they broke mine." Victoria Blackwood didn't even send flowers to the funeral. After Dad's death, Mom lasted 6 months before her own heart gave out. At 18, I became Elena's legal guardian. We had nothing. No money, no family, no safety net. Just each other, and a burning determination to survive. I dropped out of college and took 3 jobs: dishwasher at night, construction worker during the day, weekend security guard. Elena never knew how close we came to losing our tiny apartment, how many nights I went without food so she could eat. But I had a plan. Every spare dollar went into business books, investment courses, real estate seminars. I studied Victoria Blackwood's empire like a general studying enemy territory. I learned her methods, her weaknesses, her patterns. Most importantly, I learned that her success was built on a foundation of debt and leveraged properties. She looked powerful, but she was actually vulnerable. If someone knew where to apply pressure. It took me 15 years, but I built my own empire. Started with a single food truck, then a small restaurant, then a catering company. I reinvested. Every profit, borrowed against every asset. Worked 18-hour days for a decade. Elena never knew the full extent of what I was building. She saw her big brother working hard, making a decent living. She didn't know I was systematically acquiring every piece of debt, every mortgage, every loan that kept the Blackwood empire afloat. By the time she met Jonathan Blackwood at a charity gala, I owned his family's financial soul. They just didn't know it yet. Marcus, I need to tell you something important. Elena's voice was nervous when she called me that evening. I was in my office, reviewing acquisition reports, when her call came through. I'm getting married. I nearly dropped my phone. Married? To who? His name is Jonathan. Jonathan Blackwood. I know it's sudden, but Marcus, I love him. He's nothing like what you'd expect from his family. Blackwood, the name hit me like a physical blow. Of all the men in the city, my sister had fallen in love with the son of the woman who destroyed our family. Tell me about him, I managed to. Say, he's kind, Marcus. Gentle. He works at a nonprofit, not in the family business. He actually left Blackwood Industries because he disagreed with their methods. That caught my attention. He left the family business 3 years ago. His mother was furious, but Jonathan said he couldn't be part of something that hurt people. He's different, Marcus. I promise. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of 20 years of planning. Elena sounded happy. Genuinely happy in a way I hadn't heard since we were children. Could I destroy that for the sake of revenge? When do I meet him? I asked. Jonathan Blackwood was not what I expected. He arrived at my apartment carrying flowers for Elena and a bottle of wine for me, his manner humble rather than entitled. When I shook his hand, I looked into his eyes and saw something I hadn't expected. Genuine love for my sister. Elena talks about you constantly, he said. How you raised her, sacrificed for her. I want you to know I don't take lightly what it means to be part of her life. We talked for hours. He told me about leaving Blackwood Industries, about the arguments with his mother, about his work with homeless shelters and food banks. This wasn't the spoiled rich kid I'd imagined. This was a man who'd chosen his own path, despite family pressure. My mother doesn't understand, he said quietly. She thinks success is only measured in dollars and power. But Elena taught me that real wealth is in the people you love and the good you do. I found myself liking him despite everything. But that didn't change what his family had done to mine. The engagement party was held at the Blackwood Mansion, a sprawling estate that had been built with money stolen from families like ours. I arrived in a modest suit, driving a 10-year-old Honda, playing the role of the simple working brother. Victoria Blackwood greeted me with the kind of smile reserved for necessary but unimportant people. You must be Elena's brother. How nice. But you could make it. She looked right through me, the same way she'd looked through my father 20 years ago. To her, I was just another poor nobody, barely worth acknowledging. What do you do for work? She asked, the question dripping with condescension. I'm in the restaurant business, I replied truthfully. She laughed. Oh, how quaint. Like a little family diner. Something like that. She'd already lost interest, turning to greet more important guests. But I noticed her assistant whispering in her ear, probably reminding her to be polite to the bride's family, even the poor relations. I spent the evening watching, listening, remembering. Victoria held court like a queen, surrounded by politicians and business leaders who owed their success to her influence. She spoke casually about clearing out undesirable businesses to make room for proper development. She was still the same predator who destroyed my family. The only difference was that now I had the power to destroy hers. The wedding planning took 6 months. Elena was radiant, throwing herself into every detail with the joy of a woman who'd found her soulmate. I helped where I could, but kept my distance from the Blackwood family events until Victoria made a mistake. 3 weeks before the wedding, she cornered me at the final dress fitting. Elena was in the changing room, and Victoria saw her opportunity to have a frank conversation. Marcus, isn't it? I think we should discuss your role in Elena's new life. I looked up from my phone. My role? Elena is marrying into one of the most prominent families in the state. There will be expectations, social obligations. I'm sure you understand that your ... background might not always be appropriate for certain events. My blood went cold. My background? Please don't take offense. I'm simply saying that Elena will be moving in different circles now. Perhaps it would be better if you maintained some distance. For her sake, she was trying to cut me out of my sister's life, just like she'd cut my family out of their livelihood 20 years ago. I see, I said quietly. And what if I don't agree to maintain distance? Her smile turned sharp. Then I suppose we'd have to discuss whether this marriage is really in Elena's best interests. Jonathan is very close to his family. If we had concerns about outside influences ... the threat was clear. Accept exile from my sister's life, or she'd find a way to sabotage the engagement. I smiled back. Mrs. Blackwood, I think, there's something you should know about me. Oh? I'm not just Elena's brother. I'm also the managing partner of Chun Capital Holdings. Her expression didn't change. The name meant nothing to her. We're a hospitality investment fund. We specialize in acquiring distressed properties and underperforming businesses. Still nothing. But I saw her assistant's face go pale behind her. In fact, we've been very interested in the Blackwood portfolio lately, particularly your commercial properties downtown. Now Victoria's smile faltered. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone and showed her a document. This is the mortgage on Blackwood Tower. We acquired it last month. And this is the loan on your restaurant chain. We bought that 6 months ago. Oh, and your country club? We hold the note on that too. Victoria stared at the screen, her face going white. That's impossible. 23 properties in total. Your entire empire is built on debt, Mrs. Blackwood. Debt that I now control. She grabbed my phone, scrolling through the documents. This can't be legal. It's completely legal. Your loans were sold on the secondary market. We simply bought them. All of them. Victoria looked up at me, and for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. What do you want? I want you to remember a restaurant owner named David Chun. 20 years ago, you destroyed his business, his family, his life. He died believing he was a failure because of what you did to him. Recognition dawned in her eyes. You're David Chun's son. I am. And now I own everything you've built. Every property, every loan, every piece of leverage you've used to destroy other families. She was shaking now. You can't. You OULDN single quotes T ... Call in the loans? Foreclose on your properties? Destroy your empire the same way you destroyed ours? I smiled. I could. In fact, I've been planning to do exactly that for 15 years. Then why haven't you? Because my sister loves your son. And despite everything you've done, Jonathan is a good man who makes Elena happy. Victoria stared at me, trying to process what she was hearing. So here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to welcome Elena into your family with open arms. You're going to treat her with the respect and love she deserves. And you're never going to suggest that I maintain distance from my sister's life again. And if I do all that, then your loans remain in good standing. Your properties stay in your name. Your empire continues to exist. And if I don't, I leaned closer, then you'll discover what it feels like to lose everything you've built. Just like my father did. The wedding was beautiful. Elena looked like a princess. Jonathan couldn't stop smiling, and Victoria Blackwood played the role of gracious mother-in-law to perfection. During the reception, she approached me at the bar. "You could have destroyed us at any time," she said quietly. "Why didn't you?" "Because revenge isn't about destruction," I replied. "It's about justice. My father died believing he was a failure, but he wasn't. He raised a son who became more powerful than the woman who destroyed him. What happens now? Now you have a choice. You can continue being the predator who destroys families for profit. Or you can learn from this and become someone your son can be proud of." She was quiet for a long moment. "I never knew about your father's death. I never meant for it to go that far, but it did. And 23 other families lost their businesses because of your methods. You have their names. I made sure of that." I handed her a folder. Inside were the stories of every family she'd destroyed over the years. Photos, obituaries, children who'd grown up in poverty because of her greed. "This is your real legacy, Mrs. Blackwood. Not the buildings or the money. The lives you've destroyed." She opened the folder, and I saw tears in her eyes. For the first time. "It's not too late to change that legacy," I said. "But the choice is yours." 6 months later, Victoria Blackwood announced the creation of the David Chen Memorial Foundation, dedicated to supporting small family businesses and providing interest-free loans to immigrant entrepreneurs. She personally apologized to every family she'd wronged and made financial restitution where possible. It wasn't enough to undo the damage, but it was a start. Elena never learned the full truth about what happened between her mother-in-law and me. She just knew that Victoria had suddenly become much warmer and more welcoming. Jonathan suspected something, but never asked directly. As for me, I kept my promise. The Blackwood loans remained in good standing. Their properties stayed in their names. But I also kept my power, my leverage, my ability to ensure they never hurt another family the way they hurt mine. Today, Elena runs a nonprofit that helps immigrant families start their own restaurants. She's happy, fulfilled, surrounded by love. Jonathan works beside her, using his family's resources to support their mission instead of destroying it. Sometimes, people ask me why I didn't just destroy the Blackwoods when I had the chance. Why I chose mercy over revenge? The answer is simple. My father didn't raise me to be a destroyer. He raised me to be a protector. For 20 years, I thought justice meant making Victoria Blackwood suffer the way she made us suffer. But real justice isn't about inflicting pain. It's about preventing future pain. It's about using your power to protect others instead of destroying enemies. My father would be proud of the man I became, not because I accumulated wealth or power, but because I used that power to protect the people I love and prevent others from experiencing the pain we endured. Victoria Blackwood learned that true power isn't the ability to destroy others. It's the wisdom to choose not to, even when you cannot, and that lesson is worth more than all the revenge in the world. The silent guardian doesn't need recognition or applause. He just needs to know that the people he loves are safe, and that his father's sacrifice meant something. This is my story. This is my justice. This is my father's legacy.